Good morning and welcome to, I'm a minute early, people. So your 10-minute power tip at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. I either turn up early or late. It's just one of those things. So today we're going to talk about your story. Your story is absolutely yours and yours alone. No one can take it from you. No one can appropriate it, if that's the right word, steal it or use it themselves, because it's yours. It's very personal. And even if you think you don't have a story, you have a story. So let me show you how stories build. So for instance, today, I might tell the story of how this morning I needed to get ready for a 9 o'clock mentoring call. And I knew equally that I had this 10 o'clock call coming up as well. So what did I do? In order to make that morning work for me, I made sure I got my timing right. And by getting my timing right, I was able to have my mentoring call and be here ready at 10 o'clock to talk to you. The end. That's a very simple story talking about me and what happened this morning. So let's try now and make that slightly bigger. Let me tell you about my weekend. I had a lovely weekend. It was sort of good and bad. Hubby was away working over the weekend, which is never a great thing. So I used the opportunity to go and visit my mum and visit my younger daughter. Now, my mum wasn't feeling very well yesterday, so when I was with her, I was very anxious and wanted to look after her. I made sure that she was resting and made a cup of tea and got her some lunch and all of that and spent the night. And she loved that. It was really, really lovely for her. And Sunday morning, she woke up feeling so much better. So I then got on my car and I had to go and pick up my ex-husband. I didn't really want to do that. So that was another bad bit. I'd said to him, make your way to mum's then if you want to lift to my daughter's. Now, I'll give you a bit of geography around that. My mum lives midway between where he lives and my daughter lives. So I had to go back on myself to go forward on myself. Didn't want to do that, but I ended up doing it because sometimes I don't know how to say no. So that was great. I picked him up, not too happy, got to my daughter's, had a lovely meal with her and her fiance, a lovely chat. Lots of stuff, bit of a political argument going on, really stuff I love to do. And then drove ex-hubby home and I came home. And when I got home, I settled down and the weekend was coming to an end. And hubby got home just after 9 o'clock, 1:15-ish, I can't remember. And it was lovely. So everything was back to normal. He was home, I was home, everybody else was where they wanted to be. The end. See, so you can take your story and make it even bigger. Now, often people want to tell the stories of how come they are doing what they do. And people will say to me, well, I haven't done anything magnificent or amazing or anything awful hasn't happened to me. And, I've just had a pretty normal life. Nobody has a normal life because everybody's life is different. So it can't be normal. By the definition of the word normal, nobody has a normal life. We all have things that happen in our lives. So why do I do what I do today? My story starts back when I was a child and I wanted to act. I actually wanted to act because my whole family were dancers and I didn't like dancing. I wasn't even very good at dancing. We're talking ballet here. Really wasn't my thing. So I did acting so that I could join a drama class and still be around my mum and my sisters when they were off doing what they do. And as I got older, I decided I would go to London and I went to a theatre school in London and I trained and I did some acting jobs. But like all things, life gets in the way. And I ended up getting pregnant and coming home, baby under one arm, bags under the other, tail between my legs. And went out and got a proper job, as my mum would say. Go and get a proper job, she used to say. So I did that, and I raised my daughter. I then married, got a second daughter, 3 husbands later. But everything I'd learned along the way, I worked in the charity sector for many, many years, working with vulnerable families. I worked as a temp for, I don't know how many, so I worked in so many different offices. But I did what I had to do to earn the money to live my life. And I joined Toastmasters, I joined sort of amateur dramatic groups, and I enjoyed it. And through illness, I had to decide what I was going to do with the rest of my life, and here I am. Now, that's a very potted version of that story that I tell about why I do what I do today. And within that story, there's all sorts of things around why I'm very good at what I do today. And that's how stories are built. So you can either start at one end with the what did I do today, to what have I done over the weekend, to what have I done this year, to what have I done my whole life, or you start with the whole picture and break it down. And each story is a part of the bigger story. And everybody has one. When I do this work with people, I will get their timeline and we will look at their life and we will look at the things that actually run through it. And everybody always has this link that runs through it. And for me, when I did my timeline, it was always about communication. It was always about serving others, in all sorts of capacities. Even though I wanted to be rich and famous as an actress and everything else, it all worked out for the best in the end. And there was some good stuff and there was some awful stuff. And I have told the story about the really, really bad stuff and how I managed that and moved on from it and what I do with that now. And that's all around messages that we take in and believe. But what I want you to understand today is everybody has a story. There is no such thing as a normal life. And you can build your story starting from the great big life story and break it down to the tiny what I did today story and build it up. And people are fascinated by stories. We love other people's stories. And it's about sharing what you're comfortable to share. And I often say to people who have had really awful things happen in their lives, and often they will write a book, and then they will stand up and speak about it. If you haven't dealt with the trauma, don't use speaking as a way to self-medicate that trauma. Because all that happens is you are reliving that trauma again and again and again. And that is not what you should be doing. You should be able to tell that story dispassionately from the other side. So just be careful of that. It's easy to write into a book, because you are distracted from it by the writing, that there is a space. When you're speaking about it, it's in your head and you're thinking, and you have to tap into the emotional stuff. And when people begin to really feel that pain on a stage, rather than create empathy from an audience, it can become uncomfortable. So be aware there's a fine line there. And speaking about what happened is brilliant, but speak to the right people, speak to the right audience, and be careful that you're not reliving that trauma time and time and time again. And equally, if something amazing happened in your life and you're telling everybody about that, be careful you don't get lost in that joy and amazing things and it becomes a sort of a you fest and just about you, because whatever you're speaking about, you're giving to an audience, you're presenting to an audience for them to use, for them to do something or feel something or be aware of something. So think about the stories in your life. Think about how your stories fit what you do today and how your story is never ending. We have another chapter tomorrow, next week, next year, however. And we are nosy as humans. We love stories. They are powerful. Stories have the power to change the world, and they have the power to help you grow your business. So have a think about it. Contact me if you're still confused over your story or you want to work on it. Don't forget, I'm doing a lot of stuff up until the end of the year for free. And then you will find out how the new year is going to look with the whole new business model. So have a great week. I'll talk to you again next week. And you know where to find me. Bye.